Hi, welcome to this episode of Academic Writing. I am Leigh A. Hall, PhD and a professor in higher education. Today we're going to be talking about how to share a draft that you are working on. And this could be anything, right? It could be a draft of a conference proposal. It could be a draft of your dissertation, right? Any version of that. It could be a draft of a manuscript that you're putting together or one that you're revising and resubmitting, any number of things. But I'm going to give you three critical considerations today when you think about sharing a draft and asking for feedback. Now, if you have questions you want me to talk about with academic writing, please contact me, leahall39@gmail.com. You can also check out my blog, leahall.wordpress.com, where I talk about issues of teaching and learning in higher education. All right, so let's get into this. How to share a draft. I've got three critical considerations because it's not just about putting something on paper and then handing it to somebody, okay? The first thing that you want to think about, well, really any of these, this could go in any order here, but who are you going to share your draft with, right? Think about who you are, right? Are you a doctoral student, or maybe you're an assistant professor? Maybe you are an associate or a full professor, but you need some additional help, right? So who are you? And then who are you sharing it with? So are you a doctoral student sharing it with another doctoral student? Are you a doctoral student sharing it with, a professor, which could be your advisor or the instructor of a course that you're taking, right? That's really what I want to hone in on, because I'm going to assume that, if you're co-writing with somebody and you need to send them a draft, that's sort of its own ball of wax, right? What I want to think about today is you're writing something, like I said, a paper, a conference proposal, dissertation, something, right? You're the sole author and you want feedback on it. So you're going to send this to somebody. So I would say, think about what expertise does the person that you've identified to share it with bring. Okay, so pick somebody, unless obviously you're sharing it with your advisor. But if you're sharing it with somebody like a doctoral student or maybe another professor who's not your advisor or who's not a course instructor for a class that you're taking, really think about, what is this person very knowledgeable about? Maybe they're very knowledgeable about methodology, data analysis. Maybe they're just really good about organization and structure and clarity. So think about what it is that person really brings. Mindfully pick somebody, okay, that's going to be able to give you the kind of feedback that you need. And in that same vein, think about and be honest with what are your weaknesses, right? So if your weakness is structure and organization, then you want to be picking people that can give you good feedback in structure and organization, right? If you're concerned that you're not communicating your methods clearly, then you want to be able to pick somebody who knows the methodology well enough that they can read it and say, yes, this makes sense to me, or here are some key questions that I have that you're going to want to fill in. All right. So be very purposeful about who you select, okay, and what they're going to bring to the paper that you want them to review. Now, what stage should you be sharing this draft in? So, I ask this because I have it, I've seen where people tend to just, you just write your first draft and then you hand it over. That's not what you want to do, okay? And in particular, if you're a doctoral student and you're submitting something to your advisor, right, your dissertation proposal or part of your dissertation to look at, it doesn't have to be done. It doesn't have to be what you consider to be done, but it should be revised enough, right, to where you really need help. You're stuck. You cannot progress any further until you get whatever feedback you need, right? So if you're really not sure about clarity, if you're really not sure about organization, if you think you've left some key arguments out, if you just get stuck and you can no longer move forward in your writing, then that is a good time to find somebody who can give you the kind of feedback that you need in those particular areas, okay? But just putting something on a piece of paper and then handing it to somebody and saying, hey, read this and give me some feedback, that's not useful, because you want to put your time into it. You're asking somebody to put their time and effort into it. So you need to bring your game as well. And you need to know exactly where the piece is breaking down and where you're falling apart and needing support. And you do that by writing multiple drafts until, like I said, you get stuck. Then, what, if any, guidelines should you provide? So sometimes, if the piece is far enough along, right, it's gone through, let's say, multiple revisions, different people have looked at it and given you feedback, if you're sort of near the end of it, then it might be okay to sort of hand it over to a new reader or a previous reader, and just say, can you read this? I think it's pretty good to go, and just ask for some broad general feedback. All right. That's sort of when you're at the end and you think this is done. Okay. But if you're not at the point where you think this is done, then you need to provide some specific guidelines. Again, this is going to be looking at where are you getting stuck. You might know that a particular part of your piece is bad, so you don't have to ask somebody to read an entire piece, right? If, for example, with a dissertation proposal, you don't need to have somebody read the entire proposal. They need to know what you're studying. They need to know what the research questions are, but maybe you say, I need somebody to really read my methodology carefully, okay? So just ask that, okay? Ask them to read your methodology carefully. Ask them to, whatever holes, gaps, problems you think you're having with communicating your methodology, ask them to do that, okay? Asking somebody for a very close read of a small section can give you great benefits, all right? So think through, where are you stuck? Where do you think your paper is lacking, all right? And then ask people to specifically hone in on that. All right, so I hope you found this helpful. I would love to hear in the comments section how you approach sharing drafts, how you've dealt with getting feedback, making sense of it, doing revisions, any and all things about academic writing. Please share that. We'd love to have a conversation with you about it. Also, please subscribe to the channel, and you will be able to get regular updates on academic writing and as well as teaching and learning in higher education.